will be no challenge of network because we're able to resolve the technical challenge we had yesterday with Zoom. So we can run for 30 hours non-stop per day. All right. So our first session is going to run 10 to 1, and then we'll take a 1 hour break. When we come back, we run from 2 to 5. And that will be a great time for us today. The class today is going to be much more, how will I put it? Theoretical, professional, but in all of this, it's just to open our eyes and widen our scope on how to apply perhaps what we already know, okay, how to apply it. Recently, I think that was last week or last 2 weeks, I went for a course in human resource, and it was on organizational behavior. In fact, this year, I think I've done about 3 courses on human resource, organizational development, and then taking something on organizational behavior, and then another course. Okay, so even with the fact that we have come to this point, we keep learning on HR, and those things, it's not as though I was not aware of them or I don't know them. If you ask me any day, anytime, I could write exam on them without reading and I would still score A, all right? But there's one thing about continuous learning. The more we learn, the more our eyes of understanding opens, and then we begin to see the same knowledge, we begin to see its application in a different light. And that's why the continuous professional development remains important, all right? So still on a way of encouraging us, like after you are done with this, just try and dig deeper, okay? Just keep digging deep, okay? Who knows? You might get to find opportunities that might even have to take you on side assignment outside of your major assignment on HR. You will have opportunity of this nation based on what you're doing in HR. Okay, yeah, and I'm telling you because I've seen it happen before. Okay, so the need for human resource management in organization. This is going to be like a summary of what we did or what we started with yesterday, the need for human resource management in organizations. So it's more like a summary. In the role of human resource management in organizations, we talked about attracting and retaining the top talent. We laid much emphasis yesterday talking about talent management, explaining the word talent as it regards to human resource today. Okay, and one of the things I said is that the word talent can be substituted with the word asset. And when we look at the word asset, asset in business terms means something you procure that has the capacity to produce economic benefits in the future. So when we talk about attracting and retaining top talent, we are talking about procuring the right people and placing them in the right place at the right time, at the right cost, and making sure they produce results sustainably, not just the return on investment, but maximum return on investment. Now, the second one there is developing employee skills, talking about training and development. Okay, now the word training and development, most often when we hear the word training and development, it seems as though you have to come to a class. It has to be a structured learning approach. No, training and development has different domains, or it has different dimensions. Some of us do training and development in form of what we're doing now. Some of us do training and development in form of coaching, in form of mentoring, in form of role modeling. Okay, so there are different domains to training and development. So in your own organization, training and development approaches has to be based on the kind of thing to be learned and the kind of person involved, because each of us have our separate learning curves. Okay, our cognitive processes are all different. Okay, so in terms of developing employee skills via training and development, you have to find the right and the best approach to make sure that the person you're trying to transfer the knowledge to will be able to grab it. Okay, and then you also understand that in terms of learning and development or empowerment, employee empowerment, we understand that there are people that have lingual advantages, while some have analytical advantages. Some have practical dimensions to learning. Some have cognitive approaches. That's just non-information approaches, right? Okay, so the analysis of what needs to be learned and the person learning and the expected outcome after the learning is important in the development process, in training and development process, right? So this is very, very important. So should the person, after you've done your training needs analysis and you've done your individual analysis, will the person require coaching? Will the person require, and what need to be trained on? Will it require coaching approach, a mentoring approach, a role modeling approach where the person learning need to observe the role model in this case, and then be able to practice? Or will it require a face-to-face structured learning approach? Okay. Okay, then the next one that will be improving employee relations. We also spoke much yesterday about the employee relations. We'll still delve more into it today because by the time we get to the next class or the next module, which is on organizational design, we'll have to spend more time around that area. Okay, but more importantly, we want to have a healthy work environment. Everybody having good relationship. Trust is not hampered. The relationship manager to employees, employees to employers, managers to managers, managers to the external environment, organization to the external environment, all of this need to be handled very well. And then ensuring compliance with labor laws. Ensuring compliance with labor laws. Okay, this is also a very key area as part of the need for human resource. Remember that in the human resource department, there is in a bigger environment, in a bigger organization, in a complex organization, they will always have the legal and compliance department, of which we say their role most often is to handle things like grievances, discipline, and then interface with the external environment like the labor unions, the labor associations, the trade unions, and the likes. All right. Okay, then we have also driving overall business strategy. Yes, we established that one of the major need of HRM is to make sure that there's an alignment between HR strategies and business strategies. Okay, so the basic strategy here is that we have to get the right people at the right time, placing them in the right job at the right cost. That's like the basic strategy, right? So in this basic strategy, when we now look at the business strategy, this basic HR strategy, by the time we look at the business strategy, and also considering business policies, we now know how to apply this basic HR strategy and aligning it with the business strategy to achieve organizational goals and objectives. All right, now moving forward, we have the emerging roles of HRM. And like we said yesterday, there are several of them that will keep coming up. So we have the HR data scientist, or what we call the HR analyst or people analyst. Okay, so their role is basically collecting HR-related data, analyzing them, and interpreting them in a way that it could be used to make decisions as to people matters. Okay, then you have those that have the employee experience designer. This is one of the recent areas. Okay, these two concepts came out almost the same time. You could have heard of customer experience. Okay. And then we have employee experience. Customer experience and employee experience, the difference there is that the customer experience has to do with mapping out the kind of experience you want a customer to have while going through your service, okay, passing through your organization and receiving your service. Now, in terms of employee experience, it is the kind of experience that the employee experiences or get to have having to pass through your organization, all right? And it's also important for us to understand that this employee experience has a way of either motivating or demotivating the staff. It has a way of increasing or reducing retention. So if we have good employee experience, there will be what? There will be retention. Okay, so you have top talent retained. If there is bad or poor employee experience, the employees will be ready to leave any moment. In the government sector, for instance, the chances that people will leave a government job is almost 0.0%. Okay. Okay, Mrs. Faber, your hand is up. Please kindly unmute. Let's hear from you.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Sorry, I had to cut in. I didn't want to lose the thought.
No problem.
Looking at the employee experience designer,
yeah,
like in my office, I am in charge of the customer service,
okay,
relations and all that. So, is it still part of the employee experience stuff? Because we handle complaints and all that from within, from our internal customers, which are our staff, and also external customers, So I'm saying employees. So what is it still part of, can we merge it with external customers? That's why I had to just pause before we go too far.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, so when I started, I said these two concepts of employee experience and customer experience, they came out almost the same time. Why the customer experience is basically crafting the kind of journey you want your customer to experience, passing through your organization or being served by your organization. The employee experience now focuses more on the kind of experience you want your employees to have, having to be part of the staff of the organization. Now, your question on whether employee experience is part of your job as a customer service person, the answer is yes. Do you know why the answer is yes? Because you've already established that you have both internal and external customers. The internal customers being your staff, and then the external customers being those from the outside. Now, what the HR need to do is to collaborate. The employee experience is a system-wide thing. It's not defined or it's not restricted to a particular unit. It's a system-wide thing. So from customer service to operations to procurement to logistics to supply to human resource itself, to all departments, the employee experience is across all. So if you are in customer service, for instance, the question of the HR, the employee experience designer as a HR, the question he or she wants to ask himself is, how do I design this job? How do I design this environment? How do I design the processes? How do I design the systems? How do I design the remuneration? How do I design the interactions in such a way that the people here in this department will have fulfillment doing this work? Even if there's a challenge based on the experience they have, they don't want to go. You take those same set of questions, take them to security, take them to procurement, take them to any other department. So it's a system-wide process. Okay. So why is a system-wide? There are aspects of the experience that will be generic, that's it will cut across all the departments. But there are also certain aspects of the experience that will be based on department. That will be based on department. Take, for instance, in Nigeria, for a case, there are certain agencies where you work. By the time you're leaving, they pay you what they call severance package. They give you what they call severance package. If you work in an environment where they feel is risky, is risky, maybe to your health, to your life, security-wise, most often those kind of agencies, they pay you severance package. Severance package is not your pension, it's not your gratuity. Okay, they pay you that package for you to, as a way of saying thank you for sacrificing your life, your health, for all this while. Especially, like I said, those that are in the high risk work environment. Okay, you get to EFCC, you have that. You get to NMPC, you have that, and several other high risk job areas. That is part of employee experience. Do you know somebody, even if he or she wants to leave those environments, because he knows that if I get into the management cadre and I'm retiring, I get to have a severance package. Some collect 150 million, some collect 200 million, 250 million based on how the agency works. So that's also part of what? Employee experience. Now you see in the Nigerian civil service sector, let's look at the civil service sector. Irrespective of the fact that you might not collect salary for 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, many people will still prefer to stay. Why? Because there is a system that they believe guarantees them a future. So that system is called pension. It's called gratuity. So even if I retire tomorrow, I will still be collecting something. Those kind of experiences make them want to stay. If the systems were to work effectively and efficiently, one of the people in this whole wide world that will never complain about their employment is the civil service in Nigeria. But unfortunately, we have other interferences that make the system look like it's not working the way it's supposed to work. So those experiences help. Now, apart from this, the security and the safety they provide, you look at some MDAs, they provide room for development. They provide room for development. And in that development, they give you two options. The option of the organization giving you training based on what they want, and the option of you taking a study leave to go and study anything you want based on what your own interest is. That's also part of the employee experience. And they try to make it in such a way that is easier for you to pass through that process. So you're working, you're learning, you're improving yourself. So the employee experience, while I will not call it complex, but I would say it's a system-wide thing, is an organizational-wide thing. But for those of you now in customer service that have to deal with both the internal and external, your employee becomes part of your customer service or part of your customer experience mapping. Okay? Irrespective of the fact that they are internal, but for the fact that they are customers, yeah, we include them in part of what we do to give them better experiences. Then you have the digital HR specialist. Most of us work online as HR consultants. So you have the digital HR specialist. Then you have the workforce shaper or the human capital developer, or what you call in simple terms, the management developer or the training and development expert. Okay, so their role is to identify skills gap and make sure they fix it to training. Then you have the change management specialist, HR business partner, well-being, and mental health champion. This is one of the areas now that is in high demand, but we've not been able to exploit it. The well-being and mental health champion. The well-being and mental health champion. If you are in Abuja, you will agree with me that, okay, if I say Abuja, what will I not say about Lagos? Okay, Abuja still gives you some leverage, so you can still organize yourself to go for workouts and all of that. But it is not common, it is not yet common in most organizations to have maybe in a quota they have exercise, a workout, a cycling event, or what have you, to keep the staff up their feet mentally. Okay, it's just a few organizations that do that, and maybe they do that once in 3 years or once in 5 years. Okay, but ordinarily, you're supposed to have a routine operation where you have your mental health and well-being put as a priority. So your organization should plan your exercises. Now, there had been this argument over and over again that people actually spend more time in their workplaces rather than in their homes and any other place. It is only in the workplace that you can spend up to 8 hours. By default, the standard work rate is 8 hours, right? In the Nigerian context. Now, for some of us, we work beyond 8 hours. Now, you don't spend 8 hours with your family. I don't know if you've ever imagined that. You don't. There is no way you spend 8 hours. Even on Saturdays, you don't. Even on Sundays, you don't, because on Saturdays and Sundays, you want to rest. That's if you are not doing any other, you want to rest. So there had been this argument that organizations should also take responsibility in terms of well-being, providing wellness programs, not just by talk, because that's what the one I know they do somehow. They invite someone to come and talk to staff about their awareness. don't eat this, don't eat that, stop eating this. No, there are certain wellness that are outdoor. So exercises, even some organizations, they are big enough to have their own recreational centers. So why don't they go ahead and do that? So as part of things that are lacking in organizations today is the wellness and mental champion people. So if we can get those people, they will do a whole lot. Okay, they will do it. There is one of our members now. I'm trying to encourage him. He is a HR in one company here in Abuja, but he's more into wellness. So I'm trying to encourage him. Why don't you? And he has a company, a wellness and fitness and wellness company, something like that. Why don't you move this higher and make it a real business? Many people will turn up, go to organizations, book them on subscription basis. This week, they will give you maybe 20 staff. This month, they will give you 20 staff. Next month, they could give you another 20. But you know that monthly, you are responsible for their wellness. You have we're not asking you to give them gym, no. But there are certain aerobics, certain exercises that you do that will keep them mentally fit. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. So in case you also have interest in that area, a little proposal can do the work. Just a little draft of proposal. It can fix the work. And that's also part of the thing we are working on as an institution, especially for our members here in Abuja. Okay, at least once in a month or once in a while, we organize that wellness program. Just come. We have our fitness experts who will take you on certain aerobics. Okay, so if you do that once in a month, and maybe twice in a quarter, I assure you, it will go a long way in dealing with most of the stress, most of the mental challenges that people pass through, most of the psychosocial, psychological disorders people pass through, especially from work, pressures from work. Okay, so if you have interest in that area, that's a wonderful place. That area, I see it like the comedy industry or the comic industry in Nigeria. Anybody can come into it. And everybody could be interested in it. And I'm not joking. Anybody can go into it and everybody could be interested in it. So think about it. That could be part of your new phase of assignment as a HR. Okay, so I'm just going to skip through this because I've already explained them. Okay. Now, the strategic role of human resource management. The strategic role of human resource management. The human resource management plays a crucial strategic role in ensuring that the organization achieves its goals through effective management of its human resources. The strategic role of human resources can be discussed based on three key aspects. That is aligning HR with organizational strategy, adapting to changing market conditions, and then maintaining a competitive edge. Now, let me quickly say something here. You know, we keep saying this, that HR is a strategic approach that aligns business strategy with organizational strategy, or aligns organizational strategy with HR strategy to achieve organizational goals and objectives. There is also a dimension of management where we talk about objectives. So objectives is something that can be dealt with on its own. Okay, the standard format for setting objectives so that it can be achievable. Okay, so I will recommend that you can also pick up any relevant material around management objectives, how to set up management objectives, and then that would be a good one. In management, there's what we call MBO, management by objective. If you also get a material around that, that could help you, so that we don't just keep assuming that we know about how to set objectives and how to establish implementation metrics or performance metrics for objectives, right? The role of HR here now is to support the management in coming up with policies and coming up with strategies and coming up with objectives. So the HR also need to understand the principles and practices behind setting objectives. I needed to call our attention to that because that's also part of strategic approach in management of people. We have to set targets, set objectives before we begin to assign resources. In this case, assign people towards the implementation or achievement of those objectives. All right, this is very, very important. Now, on the first aspect of aligning HR with organizational goals, part of the strategic things we could do there could be on HR planning, where we apply strategic imperatives towards workforce planning and succession planning. And of course, by doing workforce planning, we are looking at anticipating the future staffing needs by aligning the workforce planning with the organizational long-term goals. All right? Okay, so it includes assessing current workforce capabilities and then identifying gaps that need to be filled to achieve strategic objectives. Now, I will not want us to see the things we discuss here as just information-based. No, everything we discuss, I want you to see it in picture. Now, if I ask you to develop a template for workforce planning from what we've just said here, it should give you a guide. Every year, across different organizations, they have templates they use to assess their current situation as regards to a workforce. Where are we now? Do we have need for more staff? Okay, that's just a simple template. So what do? You go from department to department, unit to unit, you analyze the work, or perhaps you analyze the job. Analyzing the job here simply means you analyze the tasks assigned to a particular job role, okay? And then try to find out the workforce for this particular job role, is it adequate? Are we understaffing? Are we overstaffing? Are we balanced or staffing? These are the things you now consider. So if you move from one job role to another, you look at the conditions of understaffing, balanced staffing, and overstaffing. Now, in the case of understaffing, that means your workforce will require labor demand. In the case of overstaffing, that means you will do labor supply. Through what? Through retrenchment, through outplacement, maybe moving people from one department or one unit to another, from where there is high density of people to where there is less density of people. So what I'm saying now is not theory, it's practice. Those are the things we do almost on biannual basis for some organizations. Some others is on annual basis. Some others is even on quarterly basis. Okay, this is very, very important. All right. Then you have the succession plan. Remember that the succession plan is more of developing leaders that will continue to drive the organization towards its envisioned future. Why workforce is dealing with oppression, fixing people in operational capacities, the succession planning is fixing people in management capacities, in leadership capacities, in top level capacities. That's what succession is. So succession is critical. Now, if you understand the power of leadership, you will know that you have to be careful on who you place in strategic position. There is something I will not want you to learn by experience, but maybe somehow you could have learned it by experience already. You see the word called relationship, and that's why when we deal with forms of relationship in the organization, we'll look at that also. When we say the right people at the right place, at the right time, at the right cost, please, that's not like we're doing tautology. No, that is a golden rule. If you mistakenly miss any step in that thing, it would have been better that you didn't have a staff than to have one that you're praying God I should go. That's the same thing that applies to succession. You have to be careful. There is one who I don't know whether he's a billionaire or a trillionaire in Nigeria, but I was telling my wife the other day, I said, why is it that any organization this guy enters, they always have problems? He went to Transcorp, he wanted to become the chairman of Transcorp, they removed him. He went to, which other place he went to? Now he came to Zenith Bank. Okay, he went to First Bank. He went to First Bank, the top manager, they had to go to court. Now he's in Zenith Bank, and Zenith Bank is in trouble. I said, what kind of person is he? I've not met him before, but I suspect there is something about his leadership style. And that's also talk about succession. That talks about succession. Okay, when you begin to look at business continuity and begin to look at business sustainability, then you begin to round it up with the foundation of corporate governance. The person you bring into your succession plan is very, very critical. And that's why most organizations, they prefer to groom their leaders than to hire leaders to fill in their position. Most organizations prefer to groom their leaders than to just hire externals. Have you noticed, most of the MDAs, have you noticed that in an MDA where the DG is from among the staff, that MDA, that particular agency does better than when there is a political appointment, somebody is carried from anywhere and then imposed upon the association. Before the person will even balance, that association is almost half the performance level. Okay, and that's why in most government agencies, most parastatals, they will insist that their DGs, their EDs, their MDs and CEOs, it need to be one of them, because the person understands the operation, the person understands the vision. Okay, so this is very, very important. Now, moving forward, we also have this alignment in terms of recruitment and selection, and then you have the strategic recruitment. We talked about the talent management aspect. That's basically what the strategic recruitment is all about: attracting and selecting employees whose skills, experience, and values align with the organization's strategic objectives. Okay, and they ensure that their new hires contribute to achieving the organization's missions and goals. And then you have the employer branding. This is also another strategic approach to recruitment and selection. Employer branding, many people go into some organizations, they are not going there because of how much they are paying. They are going there because of the reputation of the organization. Okay, if you say, I work with the Navy, it has a name. Okay, it has a brand that you respect. I work, okay, recently, if there are some security agencies, if you mention that you're from them, people will be like, we don't even want to see you around here. But there are some that if you mention that you're from, people want you to stay because they feel your presence will even secure them. That's a brand, an employer brand. Okay, and it wasn't created in a day. It is part of the whole organizational development. Okay, sometimes people say, I work in GT Bank. You'll be like, God, this guy, you're a big boy. Meanwhile, the person might not be collecting even up to minimum wage. But for the fact that he mentioned a brand that is well respected. So while you are working on recruitment and selection, you also work on your employer brand, because that employer brand is one of the ways through which you will recruit the right people. Okay, you recruit the right people. All right, then moving forward, we have also alignment in terms of performance management. This performance management, setting the right goals and setting the right performance metrics. Okay, when you set the right goals, then you set the key performance indicators to measure the performance of those goals. That will be very great. And this is also a strategic way of managing objectives. Okay, then you all have the adapting to changing market condition. We are in what we currently call the VUCA environment, volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous business environment. In contemporary time, they've added another one, so they call it the diverse work environment. So we now introduce diversity to it, right? So these different domains of change, the volatile domain of change, uncertain domain of change, complex, disruptive, the diverse domains, they all need to be managed. And HR has a role to play in managing these things. That's why I said yesterday, it's not, what I'm saying is not to overemphasize on the need of HRM, but it's just to let us know. If any organization fails, it's the HR that is failing. If any organization is underperforming, go and ask the HR, because they are responsible for the people that deliver results. If the people are not delivering the result, then that means there is something about the HR practices, the HR policies, the HR regulations in those organizations. There is something wrong with the performance systems. Okay, so the HR should be ready to learn at all times. Okay, the HR is a mother. Okay, the HR is a mother. You know, the HR is not, in organizations you have maybe the MDCO, then you have HR. HR is not in the same line with the MDCO. The weight of the MDCO comes directly on the HR, and then the HR disseminates to others. So he's the one bearing and taking care of the other children. He's the one determining which department is relevant and not, which one should be opened and which one should be closed. He's the one giving birth to the future of the organization. he or she is responsible for the absolute design of the organization. So if the organization failed, he is the only one who can hold responsible. If there is crisis, go to him. If there is peace, go to him. If the organization is doing better, give him an award, give her an award. If the organization is doing worse, get him to sit up. If you cannot get him or get her to sit up, then you have the right as the CEO or top management to replace or fire. Okay? This is very, very important. So managing the changing, adapting to changing market conditions, the HR has a role to play. And that's why we talk about the domain of data analytics now. The HR has to play a role. What is the market benchmark on salaries, compensation, and benefits? What our competitors, what are they doing? You do competitor analysis on virtually everything on your pay and people side. Okay, let me say generally, your compensation administration or benefits administration, you find out what are they doing. You raise figures, data, and you bring it to the organization. Try to justify why this has to be done. Why do we need to improve on our benefits administration? Do we have any relationship? Is there any correlation between benefits administration and retention? Is there a correlation between benefits administration, retention, and performance? These are the role. By the time you go out to the market, go out to the business environment, and find out what challenges are there, you come back with facts and figures. Sit up, sit right, do your analysis, present it to the top management, and advise them. Of course, you understand that you're also an advisor, right? The HR plays an advisory role to the top management, okay, and plays a supervisory role to the middle and lower management. I will repeat that again. The HR plays advisory role to top management and plays supervisory role to middle management and the lower management. So you have work to do, all right? Now, on adapting to these changing market conditions, you have flexible HR practices. Introduce agility in your workforce management. You know, now we talk about remote work, freelance, hybrid work systems. Find out more about them. Agile work environment. Find out more about them. Okay. Continuous learning. As a HR, subject your team. Subject your team. Subject your team. If there is somebody that I think need an award in Nigeria today, is the head of civil service of the Federation. Because by the policies they raise, they've put almost all civil servants on their toes. Whether you like it or not, you must professionalize. And the organization is not paying for you. So they are telling you the power of sacrifice to get things done. Things they've tried to train you and the training is not working the way they want. Okay, go and do your own training. But it's still disturbing anyway. We've seen conditions just in few weeks, in few months. We've seen conditions. People will come and tell us, I have my HR certificate. I said, okay, how did you get it? This organization that came to organization, this one that came to organization, you don't need to do any training. You don't need to do any exam. You just pay and you collect your certificate. What is the need of the professionalization? Did you undergo any reform? No. So what you've just done is that you bought a certificate. I remember going to a particular organization and the director of administration, he said, if he ever needs anything, he knows the people to call and they will bring him his certificate, he will pay. I was so disappointed. I said, you are the people they want to reform, but you are insistent on not being reformed. You are resisting deliverance that could have come by learning. I hope you're getting what I'm trying to say. So maybe as we go on now, we'll look at the challenges of HRM. Okay, look at those challenges. But if there is somebody that needs to be given an award, I think that woman deserves an award. Okay, she deserves an award. All right. Then you have change management. We've spoken so much about change management. All right, change management. Policies introduce change, right? Technology introduce change. Conventions introduce change. Even learning introduce change. There is no way you'll pass through this training in 4 weeks. That's 2 times 4. That's 8 days. And maybe if there is any other supplementary training in between, or supplementary class in between to meet up. There is no way you will go through this training in 8 days. Let's say 8 plus 2. Let's just add extra 2 days. Should there be need for that? Okay, and there will be no change. There must be a definite change. some things must change around you. Okay? And those changes are going to help you to manage change in your own organization, manage change in your own life, manage change in your own family, and things like that. You have innovation and improvement. Okay, so we also learn more about innovation and improvement. Now, as part of innovation, we brought in the HR information system. We're bringing in HR analytics. We're bringing in robotics. Okay, these are part of innovations and improvement in HR. Then we'll also talk about the talent management. I think we're overflowing this talent management, but it is also key as far as the changing market condition is concerned. Now, as far as the changing market condition is concerned, your major competitive advantage is the quality of people you have. So the quality of people you have will give the definition of the kind of talent you have. So this is very, very important. Very, very important. So you're attracting and retaining talent and then ensuring there is adequate, effective employee engagement. Okay, just to make sure that your staff are well motivated, committed, and productive. Listen to this. What people did not generate, what people did not initiate, it is difficult for them to implement. Okay, something happened recently. Is it Nigerian Super Egos? They went on a march and they started playing the new national anthem, and none of them could sing it. Okay, why? Possibly because some of them might not even have known that the national anthem has changed. For me personally, it will take me a while to know how to recite that national anthem. Okay, even after they did the national anthem renewal, I went for a program in an agency, and they say, let's say the national anthem, the second part of it, they still recited what they knew. Okay, they recited what they knew. All right, so employee engagement drives their commitment. Okay, employee engagement drives their commitment. All right. Then we have the third domain of the strategic role of HRM. Remember, we say we are dealing with the strategic role of HRM in 3 domains. You have aligning HR strategy with organizational strategy, that's one. Then understanding the changing market conditions. And then number 3, maintaining a competitive advantage. All right. In maintaining a competitive advantage, you now think of managing talent strategically. By managing talent strategically, you have to identify key competencies, the ones that are major, okay, and then ensure there is adequate leadership development. Many people find it difficult to do leadership development programs. I don't know why. Some will tell you, I'm in procurement. I don't need leadership training. I'm in customer service. I don't need it. The people at the top that need leadership training. I don't know how they got about that. But should I tell you something? Without adequate leadership empowerment, it will be difficult for you to smell the top. I remember a particular woman. She had a PhD, and she had a personal relationship with the then Delta State governor. Okay, and she saw our advert online, and she joined our course. That was in 2020 during COVID. So while we were doing the program, during that 2020, she did almost 6 programs with us. She started with executive leadership development, then went into management consulting, went into HR. When anything that was management, she was just doing management and leadership. In 2021, she was given an appointment as a director in their medical center. And then she had to send us a long note. She said when she was coming for that training, that she had tried severally for the governor to give her appointment because I think she's in the medical line. But the governor looked at her CV one day and said, but madam, you don't have any leadership experience. You don't have any leadership certification. You've not even gone to any workshop on leadership. So how am I sure that you're going to manage the people? He said, when you get your certifications on leadership and management, you can come. That same time she completed her training, took her certificate to the governor and updated us. That same day, she got a directorate position in their medical center there. So leadership development is not specific to any department. It is to everybody. It is a generic training. And in case your organization is one of those ones that say leadership training is for those at the top management, they are not doing you well, because leadership development is part of what? It's part of succession planning. I hope you're learning something. In case your organization do not send you, please send yourself. Okay. In case you've not paid attention to leadership development, start paying attention to it. Okay. Start paying attention. Start learning about corporate governance. Start learning about corporate management. Start learning about visionary leadership, transformational leadership. Those things, even the HR has limitation in those domains. And that's why somebody could tell you, I have my HR certificate for over 10 years, but I am not getting the right promotion in the right place. Why? Because you don't have the requisite leadership development encounters or leadership development certifications or leadership development trainings to advance you further. Okay. The requirement of getting to the top, the more we get there, the more street it becomes, or the streeter it becomes. The more you climb up, the more the requirement for your advancement becomes more strict, and you must abide. I told them in one of the training we went the other day, I told them, I said, if government gives you policy, better follow, because your disobedience is what will take you out. If government ever set a direction, the only thing that you require is obedience. And that's the same thing that applies to the law of success. When success sets its standard, the only thing you need to do is follow the standard. Don't boycott the standard. Somebody was sending us a message yesterday. He said, okay, let me not talk about that one. Let me not talk about, but let's just focus on improving our leadership abilities, improving, taking it seriously, okay? Because that is part of your differentiation. That's going to be part of your differentiation. That's going to be, I'm telling you the honest truth, is going to be part of your unique differentiation as a professional, okay? Then as part of maintaining the competitive advantage, you have the HR technology, leveraging technology like the HR information system, the performance systems, and the likes. Then we'll talk about automation and efficiency. Process automations. Yesterday, I gave some instances that in some MDAs, we still have the use of paper. But I assure you, with the way government is going now and with the kind of policies they are developing, is either you are digitally literate or you are not, and is either you are ready to stay or you're ready to go. You remember, for those of us in public service, there is this policy they call the FCIP, Federal Civil Service Strategy and Implementation Plan. One of the core aspects of FCIP is called digitalization. Okay, digitalization, right? Digitalization. So how do you want to be part of a digital environment when you don't have a digital skill? They want to automate all the processes. I remember the last meeting I ever had, the then Director of Civil Service Transformation, Dr. Olajide. Yeah, Dr. Olajide, somebody like that. Yeah, he retired, I think he retired this year. Last year, when we had a training for the head of service, and we were discussing about this FCIP, he told me, he said that at the moment, they've done over 1 million transference. They've digitalized over 1 million civil service assets. So over 1 million staff of civil service, they have already digitalized them. Okay, I don't know whether they've launched that platform right now, but they've already digitalized them. I was at I'm talking of my personal encounters. Each other person can talk about it on our own. Now, I was at, okay, yesterday I talked about NCAA. By June 14th, I will be privileged to be among the people training them, okay, on quality management and safety, okay, risk, quality, and safety management. Okay, so by June 14th, I will be in their premise for that particular lecture. Now, one of the things I saw about their HR that amazed me, their performance management system is digitalized. They have a portal for it. Their what do you call the other one? Compliance system they have virtually portals for every aspect of HR. Portal. I mean, I loved that. One of our fellows, he happened to be a director at the Federal Ministry of Steels and Mine Development. I had a meeting with him in his office. And then a week or two ago, and then he was telling me about a project they just launched. And that project was a software that they launched on how you can access information about mines and steel, everything that has to do with mines, steel, mineral resources, and everything as a local investor, as a foreign investor. And that was from the procurement department. He's a director in the procurement department. And then that was amazing. What are they doing? Automation and efficiency. The question is, what is your own organization doing? A ream of paper now is almost, it depends on the paper. The Conqueror paper the other day I wanted to buy, they told me 47,000. I asked them for what? Just to write a letter, I will now pay you 47,000. Something that used to be 2.5 is now 47,000. See, as a HR, we need to sit up and make sure that we reduce cost by all means. We must reduce cost by all means. So automating your processes and making sure that they are efficient will be a good way to make these things happen. So somebody don't need to travel from China to come to Nigeria and then start asking, how do I get my license and process my license from Federal Ministry of Steels and Mines Development? Okay, and you see what is also happening with the interior. You see what is happening there? NIMC used to be one of the best places when it comes to government agency. You can say they are digitally fluent. But these days, I think Interior is doing better than NIMC. Okay. Now, what is Interior doing to get your passport renewed in Nigeria? It's always like you have to fast and pray. But with the current minister, to renew your passport, everything is almost done 100% online. The only thing you need now, which I still feel need to be managed, it can still be incorporated in the whole digital process, is what they call the biometrics, because that's where the corruption is, the element of corruption still exists. Okay. So you did everything, you paid your 35,000, and then maybe somebody told you that to do your renewal is 120,000 for 10 years. And then online they say it's 35,000, and then you've done everything. And then on getting there to now do your biometrics, they will now tell you biometrics is free. But for you to find yourself on the queue, you have to now go and look for who to. Those processes, I believe they can still be taken off because they are not making the process efficient. Federal High Court Commission, yeah, they also introduced a portal where you can easily go and sue your affidavit. But the challenge I also have with that is that no matter the affidavit you sue, you have to go to their office to do your capturing. No, not capturing. You can do your capturing online, do every other thing online, but they will be the ones to print it for you. So to do that, to do your CV, no, not CV, affidavit online, you pay, is it 1,500 or 1,000? Okay, but when you get there to print it, you pay the same amount you paid online. So the question is, yeah, we are digitalizing this, but are we ready for behavioral changes? Are we ready to make sure that we reduce these bottlenecks that are affecting the efficiency of the process? These people that say, I just bought certificate, a certificate now a commodity, did they really go through the learning experience that would have made them better? Were they ever transformed, or they just wanted to maintain a position? These are things that need to be taken care of. Okay, all right. Now we have employer branding. I think I've talked about that, how that also boosts your competitive advantage through maintenance of staff. So if you have strong employer brand, your staff will want to stay. And of course, one of the ways to boost strong employer brand is through positive employee experience. Okay, very, very important. And then you have continuous improvement like benchmarking and best practices. Remember I said, as a HR, we talked about the changing market conditions. As HR, you learn about the environment. You get your data, you get your facts, you analyze. It is with the data that you have And you can come up with decisions on benchmarking and application of best practices. And then you have to continuously have a feedback and evaluate your HR systems. Okay. Now, the conclusion of the whole matter here, okay, on the strategic HRM is that the strategic role of HRM involves aligning HR practices with organizational strategy, adapting them to changing market conditions, and maintaining a competitive edge. By effectively managing talent, leveraging technology, and fostering a positive work environment, HRM can contribute significantly to the organization's success and long-term sustainability. Now, let's round up with these factors affecting the effectiveness of HRM. We're going to look at them as categorized as organizational factors, managerial factors, and environmental factors. Now, under the organizational factors simply talk about the internal factors, okay? Internal factors that affect the organization. So you have the company culture. A positive culture will definitely mean a positive reputation, a positive employee experience, a positive environment to work with. So company culture is very, very important. Now you have the leadership style. This is another important aspect. No organization can succeed beyond their leadership potentials. I will repeat this again. No organization can succeed beyond their leadership potential. One of the challenges of Nigeria, the future of Nigeria is being challenged because of the quality of leaders that we have. That is a basic problem in Nigeria. If we have the right leadership, it will shock you how Nigeria will be transformed in a twinkle of an eye. And that's not a joke. The same thing applies to our individual lives, our family lives, our workplaces, and all of that, our relationships. The leadership involved in your relationship. Remember, I said that anywhere people are, one of the major currency they trade is influence. And one of the role of leadership is to exert influence. It's not influenced by choice. It is influenced by mandate. So as a leader, you exert influence. That we cannot even talk too much about this. If you are an unproductive CEO, you cannot have a productive staff. It was Miles Morrow that said a pack of lions being led by a sheep, or perhaps a pack of a head of sheep being led by a lion will always win a pack of lions being led by a sheep. I hope you got that. He said that a flock of sheep being led by a lion will always win a pack of lion being led by a sheep. So the leadership matters. The leadership matters. The leadership matters. What is it, Senegal? Senegal, that we have the youngest president in Africa now. You see the reform the young man is bringing. He is doing his best to cut down the cost of governance. But in our own country, we are so proud to even borrow to buy what we call the presidential yacht, costing us billions. People are cutting down costs. Leaders are cutting down costs based on global economic situations. But in Nigeria, no, we rather borrow and put other people into debt. Do your best, put other people into debt. So leadership, and this is why you must not trade cunningly on issues of leadership. You must be intentional on the kind of leader you want to be. They have the HR policies and practices. They also have their own impact on the effectiveness. If you have clear, fair, consistent HR policies, it will also rub off on the organization. Then you have the organizational structure. Yeah, if the organizational structure is well developed, it will improve HRM efficiency. Then you have the kind of technology you're using, the HR information system, and any other technology-related tool you're using, where people need to interface with to work. Okay, those also are part of the internal factor. Then you have the managerial factors. Managerial factors like the HR competency. The HR competency, that's the human resource competence, the general human resource competence. All right. Remember, I talked about something just in the few slides away. that the quality of the talent within an organization determines their competitive advantage. That's the same thing as saying the competency levels within an organization determines the outcomes, the outputs, the productivity within the organization. Okay, so what is the need for enforcing everybody to become HR professional? It's just to make sure that there is increase, there is improved competency, and people could consciously understand what they need to do. Not that people should go and buy certificate and say, I just have mine. All right. So we need to be conscious about that. The higher the competency, the better the performance. The lower the competency, the lower the performance. They will have the employee training and development, providing the right training at the right time for the right purpose could improve your management, could improve your operations, could improve your staff empowerment. Then you have the performance management. These are all managerial factors that can affect. If you have the right performance metrics, the right performance appraisal systems, the right performance KPIs, okay, they will also go a long way in driving performance. But if reverse is the case, it will bring down performance. Then you have communication. Communication is the grease, is the oil of every manager, of which the HR is part of it. Okay, if you want to work effectively in an organization, then you must learn how to communicate in clear, transparent ways. Okay. Then you have also managerial factors like the change management. You must understand the dynamics of change and be ready to work with that. Then the environmental factors. The environmental factors now talk about the external factors. You have the economic conditions. I read through a chart the other day. I was reading through this chart. I said inflation in Nigeria is about 40-something%. My. Not everybody will understand the implication of that. Let me tell you what it means in simple terms. From where you used to be to where you are now, it simply means that your salary, your income now is 40% less. The value of your income now is, irrespective of the fact that it's still the same money, but it is 40% less. But that is from MBS. In reality, our inflation in Nigeria should be close to 5,000%. And I'm not joking about that. I am not kidding. I'm not joking about that. It should be over what, like we didn't do much. It should be over 100%. Simple metrics that show. Simple metrics that show. We moved dollar from 450 something to 2,000 plus in less than 1 year. You cannot tell me that inflation in that demand is 40%. Knowing fully well that Nigeria is a highly dependent nation. Every other thing we do is almost dependent on dollar. I saw something that shocked me the other day. I love, one of the things I learned from my father is once in a while he likes surprises. So he goes to the market, buys things buys things and cook. He buys things and cook. And anytime my father is cooking, you enjoy yourself to the fullest. That is the time you have as a child, you can eat one meat to yourself or one fish to yourself. If it is my mother, it is one fish to 2:1. That's the ratio. We'll give you one meat, 2 of you share it. But if it is my father, we can even give you 2 meat. Okay, but the challenge is that food he cook can only last for that 1 day. Okay, the next day my mother will have to cook another one. Okay, and so that's one of the things I learned from my father, and I enjoy it. So was it last week? Yes. My wife and I, we went for a retreat. So when we came back, I discovered that she was a bit tired. So I told her I'm coming. I went to the market. I said, let me buy things for myself. Hey, God have mercy. God have mercy. Hiya. I received the shock of my life. I will withdraw. It's okay. This one should be able to do everything I want to buy. I will just go to one shop. By the time I finish there, if I'm going to buy another thing, I need to withdraw another money. I was so shocked. I said, what's happening? What's happening? Okay. And some people told me, they said, okay, sir, it's like you are new to this. I said, I can't remember the last time I came to the market, but it wasn't this messed up. Okay, so now you have a salary of 250,000. Should I shock you? If you have a family of 4, your salary of 250,000 might not even be able to sustain you in a month. Your money, you still have money in your hand, but the value has evaporated. That's what I'm talking about. So economic conditions need to be well taken care of. And that's why when this labor union and government, they are fighting over this minimum wage, I just feel like government, they are not being fair. They are not being fair. These people that you're struggling with, their minimum wage, what was the last minimum wage? Is it 30,000? Okay, their minimum wage, I think it was 30,000, right? Yeah, I think it's 30,000. Now, that minimum wage was 30,000. The highest they saw was that a liter of fuel was 95 naira. Sorry, 195 naira. That was the highest they saw. Now, all of a sudden, you came and you gave them a liter of fuel at 699. They said that the price of fuel had over 270% increase. And you're still telling me that the inflation is 40%. You must be lying to me. You must be lying. So I don't know how MBS did all of that. But economic conditions can affect HR. So people can be living they come today and leave tomorrow. Okay, so how do you manage this part of market dynamics? Now, how do you manage that? They have the legal and regulatory framework also, that's the way compliance with labor laws, employment standards, and other regulations which are essential. Then you have the labor market conditions, availability of skilled labor, unemployment rates, and labor market trends. And this impact on recruitment and retention strategies. I said something yesterday, and I'm fully persuaded about that the current challenge we have in Nigeria of these unemployment situations, with the wave of things going, a time will come, and I sincerely believe it, that this retirement of a thing, nobody will talk about retirement in Nigeria again. With time, one of the advocacy that IPM is driving, and we thank those MDAs that are also supporting us through their directors and all of that. Well, you give people retirement is like giving them death sentence. You tell people to retire without any preparation. And that's why research showed that if you ever lived too long, many research have supported that. On average, if you ever live too long, for men, it's 10 years after retirement. For women, it's 15 years after retirement. You see them going to visit the other side of life. But is it supposed to be so? Some of these things are caused because there is no adequate preparation for the next phase of life. Somebody has spent 35 years and you think it will take him 2 months to adjust? It won't. It would. In fact, there should be a school that should be responsible for training people on retirement. And that is part of our advocacy. Is either you keep them create a system that keeps them productive even afterwards. Don't give them that lugubrious assignment of trying to find out a way to become better. That is, anyway, by the way, technological advancement, emerging technologies. You remember we talked about the change champion. So you can start piloting or driving change champion the organization. There are several areas that we need change. Several areas. Through Servicom, right to head of service. Through Servicom, right to the office of the Secretary of the Federation. Okay. Through Servicom, any other person that needs to be written to introduce your change, you can write anonymously. Okay, and don't get tired writing. If you have the opportunity to voice out, please go ahead, voice out. Social and cultural factors, all of these are environmental factors. There are also things like the political factors. So although we could consider them as social factors anyway, but you have the political factors that can also affect. You also have the environmental factors, natural environmental factors, okay, that can also affect HR. For instance, the natural factors like winter, summer, snow. Okay. Nigerians, if they are leaving Nigeria to UK, they carry all the whole sweater in the world because they feel they are moving to another place. One of my sisters came back, visited Nigeria last year, December. She was almost walking naked. And she said, yeah, this is too hot, this is too hot. I say, the place you are, you people don't have heat at all. Okay. Those conditions can also affect. I was watching through YouTube the other day and I saw a clip. They said there is a particular place in France, there's a particular tower in France. That tower pays, the government pays $1,200 per month for anybody who will save. Is it $1,200 or $1.2 million per month? I've forgotten the rate, but it was ridiculous. They said that's the highest paying job in the world. Okay. But you can die on that job on the first day of your assignment. The tower is located at the center of the sea. So all the sea waves, whenever the wave comes, it can be boisterous for a while. By the time it clears off, the person inside is dead. So people find it difficult to go there. And irrespective of the fact that they say it's the highest paying job in the world, they are still looking for employees in that place. Okay, those are what? Those are natural environmental factors. Okay, natural environmental factors. There are places you go to. I think it was somebody that was doing he was giving a picture or a video of the kind of sun in Germany. He said the sun in Germany, she was giving a practical illustration. Okay, she put a frying pan and put egg inside, and the egg literally dried up. Then, and she ate the egg. So she was like, the sun in Germany, you can actually use it to fry egg. Okay, and I remember another scenario. My brother who served in Jos, then he served in Jos. He said in Jos, the particular local government he was, I know I've experienced that somehow. One of the times I went to do training there, cold almost caused my spirit to leave my body. Okay. So he said in that place, you don't need fridge. You don't need freezer. Just put whatever thing you want to freeze, put it outside. Before you know it is blocked. So they have water pots. They have some innovations they put outside there to freeze their food, freeze their water, freeze whatever thing they want to freeze. Oh my God. And he said there, you don't dare say you're taking your bath in the morning. You have to wait till when the sun is out for the water to defreeze for you to use. So these are natural environmental factors, okay? Then you have also strategic factors. We didn't talk about this, but we have strategic factors as alignment with business goals, talent management, employee engagement, workforce planning, and all of that. By considering and addressing the factors, these factors, organizations can enhance the effectiveness of their HRM practices, leading to improved employee satisfaction, productivity, and overall organizational. At this point, I would like to say thank you. We have successfully gone through the first lecture. This is 11:30. Okay. Any question, any comment, any contribution? Okay. Before we take a very short break to return. Any question, any comment, any contribution? Okay. All right. You're welcome. Okay, so we take a very short break. We'll take a 5 minutes break. Then when we return, we'll be looking at another course, which is on organizational design. So finish introducing. Now, every other thing we want to go into will be much more practical. So now you can go ahead. Okay, so I'll give you 10 minutes. Should I give you 10 minutes or 20 minutes? I'll give you I'll give you okay, I'll give you 30 minutes. So that's 28 minutes from now. So return back by 12. Now, between now and 12, please kindly download the Orange HRM, Orange HRM, Orange. I'm going to type it so that you get to have the full minute. Orange HRM and HR Control Center, HR Control Center 6.0. For the Orange HRM, please download the latest edition. So in the next 30 minutes, kindly download, install,